Hey guys, Corey Ogilvy here. Today I'm going to show you 4 basic macros for video editing that will dramatically increase your speed. I say basic because we actually are going to do a tutorial showing advanced macros as well, but these will get you off to a good start. Now I'm not going to show today any background. We're going to have another video that explains more about the theoretical background behind macros. It's very important you watch that because it'll equip you to generate your own and then share them with us so that we can use them, right? But it will take a minute to explain why you should watch videos like this as a video editor. You need to sharpen your saw. That's an analogy that's from this book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. It's like from the 80s self-help author, and the 7th habit is sharpen the saw. And if you look at his diagram of the habits, you'll see that the meta habit is the 7th. It's sharpening the saw. He says that it is the habit that makes all of the other ones possible. So as a video editor, you need to just stop. Just stop editing and research ways that you can get faster, because that can give you compound gains on your time over time, right? If you save 2 minutes a day starting today, how many minutes does that save you over a year? And if you find a bunch of different techniques that save you time, that will compound and create tons of extra time for you, which will make you a better artist. And so these 4 macros, think of them as special stones. Each one sharpens your saw in a slightly different way and makes it a little bit sharper. That's our goal here at Wobble. So let's check these out. Enjoy. Okay, the first macro is called O with play. Now I'll demonstrate it. Okay, so I set my eye here and then I want the shot to start right here. So I press O. And it not only deletes, but it also starts playing. So how is that made possible? If you go to keyboard settings, I have ripple delete set to the grave key, which is right here. And then if you go back and you look here, when I press O, keyboard maestro, that's what I use for macros. When I press O, it presses O, it waits, then it presses ripple delete, which we just set, then it waits, then it presses spacebar. So it's a beautiful macro for editing B-roll. I'll do a quick demo, sort of, because you can see all this garbage at the beginning, right? And you can see how quickly you end up with a cleaned up sequence. The second macro I'm going to show you is called fast SloMo. This one is a beautiful one when you're editing highlight edits. So I'll demonstrate it first. We'll go here. And you can see that with one key, it turned it into SloMo. Now, how does that work? If you look here, you can see there's a lot of stuff going on. It doesn't just enter the speed rating, it actually also deselects. So I'll run you through it. First of all, the hotkey is right here next to P. I don't know what it's called. And when I press that, these are all of the actions that Keyboard Maestro executes. So it presses P, that's what I have in Premiere set to speed. Then it presses 4-0, which enters the speed of 40%. Then it presses enter. That closes the speed window. Then it presses D, which deselects the clip because it's really annoying when the clip is still selected, right? Then it presses the right arrow, which makes sure the playhead is over the clip. Then it presses previous edit, which will bring the playhead directly back to the beginning of the clip. Then it presses spacebar. So I'll do another demonstration. I know it's a mouthful. You really have to just see it. So let's say right here, I'm like, ooh, I like this shot. I want to make it slow-mo. I press this. And it brings it right back to the beginning and it makes it slow-mo. Okay, the third macro I'm going to show you is called color paste forward. Now this one I have set to the key right next to the slow-mo key over here. And color paste forward is based on you need to know a few hotkeys that I have in Premiere. So I'll show you those right now. Basically, it's the remove attributes and the paste attributes. So remove attributes is Y. Paste attributes is U. And then deselect all is set to D. And then again, ripple delete is set to the grave key. So just keep all of those in mind. And then when we look here, first I'll demonstrate. So let's say this clip here, let's just pretend that, you know, everything is dark and desaturated. So we make this clip brighter and more saturated. And we're like, okay, I just want to apply this to everything down sequence, right? So you go here, you select, you press T, which selects everything down sequence. And then before I press the macro, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just press U just to make sure that Lumetri is selected. You need to make sure that that's sort of in the default paste attributes dialog. Once I know it's in, I'm going to hit cancel. And again, watch what happens here. It's magic. This is the color I want to apply to everything down sequence. So I go here, I copy, I press T, I hold shift to just select one track, and then I press color paste forward. And everything else now, as you can see over here, has the settings. So let's say you get here and you're like, oh, you know what? He actually got a little bit brighter, right? And so you come here, you bring it down, you go there, and then again, you just repeat. Right? So it's beautiful because if you need to make tweaks, you can just continually update as you go along, knowing that everything so far was good. So this is a really, really beautiful macro. Now let me show you how it works because it's really complex. It's a lot more complex than you might think. Because what it does is it actually has to first remove attributes. So what this macro does is, remember Y, if you remember, we set that to remove attributes. So this macro first presses Y and it removes it cleans the clip, because if you don't do that, then when you add a new Lumetri setting, it's going to be additive. It's going to be double Lumetri, and you know as well as I do that looks horrible. So first you have to clean the clip. That's what this does. It cleans the clips of all their previous Lumetri settings. Then it presses U, which then pastes the Lumetri settings on. Then it waits, then it presses D for deselect. So that's really powerful, especially when you're editing, you know, let's say you're doing weddings, a ceremony with 3 camera angles and one camera is just a little bit cooler than all the other ones. But the coolness varies a little bit, and so you have to constantly change the baseline color. This is the sweetest, simplest way to do it. It's just one key, and you batch apply color. You can do it to 1,000 clips down sequence. Of course, you can also press R and apply it backwards, but I like to always, you know, work forwards. Okay, the fourth macro is actually a series of macros, and this is called the Deselect macro. So these are actually very generic, you know, things you do in Adobe Premiere, like adding an audio transition or a video transition, or disabling a clip, or edit to playhead, or selection follows playhead. These are all very common things I found myself doing a lot. But it's really annoying, again, when you have to manually deselect a clip after executing the macros. So I'm gonna just demonstrate each of these, and I'll show you how the deselect works and why it's such a beautiful thing. Okay, so let's say I wanna add an audio transition right here. And watch what happens. See how it's deselected? So if I disable this, you see that red line there? That's really annoying because you might forget, and you might come down here and you might press delete or something, and it actually has this selected still. So this is a quirk of Premiere, right? Where it leaves things selected after you execute an action. And that quirk is really annoying and it really slows you down. So that's what's beautiful about that. Now I'll demonstrate the video one as well, because video transitions are very common. So again, you can see it's just cleanly deselected. Otherwise, if I disable it, you see the red still there, right? So it's still really annoying. Now let's do the disable and enable, which is something you do a lot as an editor, right? Where you have to disable a clip or enable it. Again, if you don't have this macro, what happens is when you select it, it stays selected, and that's super annoying. You have to click, right? And that's a step. That's a step for your wrist. Or you have to come over here and press deselect, and that's unnecessary steps. That's not good. Edit to playhead. Let's do this one. Sorry. Yeah, so if I select this edge and I press E for edit to playhead, you see how it deselects there. It's nice and clean, right? But if I disable this, watch what happens. You can see it's still selected. So that again leaves you exposed. If you're doing fast editing, that leaves you exposed to unintended errors. Finally, selection follows playhead. This one, really annoying. It seems to turn on and off randomly. If somebody can put in the comments what causes it to. That one, just so you know, if you go up here to sequence, and if you come down here to selection follows playhead, it's beautiful if you're doing color correction, because what it means is wherever your playhead is, the clip underneath it will be selected. Now, watch what happens when I press Q. And then when I drag, so I not only disabled this, I also deselected the clip. Again, removing an annoying step. These deselect macros are just tiny infinitesimal improvements on your time, right? They're tiny, tiny little improvements that really, really can add up when you're editing over long term. So there you go, 4 basic macros to save you time editing. There's another way you can save time editing, and I'm gonna plug one of our products now, which is Shakefree. It's an AI plugin, and what it does is it scans your footage and it removes the ugly shake, the big and the little ones. Just everything that's ugly and shaky, it will remove. So when you start your edit, you'll have a lot more flow and speed in your edit. If you combine macros with Shakefree, again, you're gonna increase your compound interest gains in time. The longer you use them, the more money and time you save, and the better artist you'll become. So thanks for watching. Please subscribe below, and we'll see you next time.